Hey there, I am not Johnny Voltaire. Yes, I know, I understand the confusion, but as I like to say, we're both played by the same guy. This is a behind the scenes video. I give you a station update. I'm here to tell you things are going to go in two different ways. First one, more music. I'm a musician first, so you can expect a lot more content in that way. Johnny Voltaire is a character, always meant to be more performance art, something to help bring things more alive. He's basically me, but a few twists added in. On the other end, it's here in the cut. I'm going to give you updates, background info, real life stories, as well as answer some letters. We just shoot the shit every now and then. Even give you some hot takes. If you know me by now, you know I like to talk. But I do respect your time, and I want you to be aware that I'm not a content chaser. I don't have this urge to be in front of your face 24/7. Just feel like if you're going to be here, you're going to be here. If not, it's cool. I respect your time. Now, the point of this video, why now? In light of recent events, this whole year of 2020 has been a mess. The whole COVID situation threw a wrench in many people's plans and living spaces and a whole lot of other things. Now, for me, I'm a Miamian. I've lived here most of my life. I'm prepared for all sorts of things, like hurricanes and other events. But I knew someone who wasn't. So I had to get them some supplies. See, if you remember in the beginning, a lot of people were concerned. There was news reports saying, hey, that first weekend, you guys, everyone just stay home. You're not going to go back to work unless you're essential. Even that was being worked out, who was essential and who wasn't. And people wondered, if I'm not going to go to work, am I going to get paid? Is this business still going to be open? Are the stores going to be open? Are we going to get more supplies? Is it just going to be The Walking Dead? Thankfully, and fortunately for all of us, that wasn't the case. But I knew someone who needed supplies, so I went to the store and got them some supplies. I went back home. I gave it to them, and I went back home, and I wasn't feeling so well. Much like how the news said, I had about 14 days of a fever. Luckily, it was just a fever. Really, I had no cough or anything else. But every night, it seemed to get a little worse. If you remember the early news reports, they were saying how many people were being hooked up on breathing machines, and the hospitals were being overcrowded. So I'm home and I'm sweating bullets because I'm wondering if this is just going to get worse anytime. And the other half, I was sweating a whole lot because, I had a fever. But I shook it off. It was just kind of like a hot summer night in Miami without the AC for 2 weeks. Once I got better, I was happy. Everything was going better. 2 days later, I'm in the hospital. I had a bout with intense pain. And if you guys ever seen that Simpsons episode, Bart Simpson in Sunday school, and I'm paraphrasing here, but he asked the teacher, I believe it was Miss Kromopoulos or some old lady, and they're talking about hell. But Bart is asking, ma'am, after a while with all this hellfire and everything, wouldn't you just get used to it? Like a hot tub or sitting in the sauna. I used to think that was hilarious. In fact, I used to figure that intense pain would be very similar. You don't pass out from it initially. You could tough it out. Probably get numb to it. Keep doing what you have to be doing. This wasn't the case this time. Or I was just sadly mistaken. I was experiencing a sharp stabbing pain in my lower right abdomen. No idea what it was. So I just figured I'm going to macho it out. And I fought through it for about 2 hours. And I puked 3 times and got lightheaded. I called for help. And I called my dad. But my dad got here as soon as he could. However, he's not a doctor. Not exactly sure what I was expecting. And so he calls the ambulance, which I should have done first. And they eventually show up. They have their beekeeper uniforms on. It's like but plastic, and they got to prick my finger, see if I have COVID. Suppose at that time I didn't. Before, I don't know. Who's to say? But cool. However, they take my blood pressure and it's super low. They said something's wrong. You know, either you're an Olympic athlete or there's something severely wrong here. I'm not an Olympic athlete, so I don't know what the hell's going on. I go for that ride. They take me to the hospital. Now, as you know, hospitals now are quarantined and separated. That there's a section where they treat people who are infected, and there's the other section for the uninfected, but they still need help. So that's where I am. And I'm there, but, you know, there's no visitors allowed, and there's no TV in my room. I just have a phone that needs a charge, and I'm there suffering in silence. They don't attend to me for a good 2-3 hours. And the only company I got is this machine next to me that goes beep, beep. It drives you mad. And when I was able to actually formulate thoughts, I started thinking, you know, who do I want to talk to? Who do I wish I could see? Who do I think couldn't care less? Who's it that I don't want to talk to? Start thinking about regrets, things I don't regret as well. One of the things I don't regret is music. Something I've been doing for a long time. When I turned 13, you know, I wanted to have a birthday present and it to be a DJ set. You know, I wanted to be a DJ. You know, I wanted to have the turntables, I wanted to scratch, I wanted to do parties, I wanted to make music. But we didn't have crates of records, and I didn't know what they were supposed to get. You know, what's a crossfader? I didn't have a clue. It was going to be too expensive. So my grandmother and my mother, they got together, and they got me a keyboard. You know, it's this Casio, like 60-some keys, and it has a top loader where you can put the cartridge in. I played the hell out of that thing. I recorded drum beats on a cassette. I would put a bass line over it, a piano or a guitar, strings, an accordion, whatever the hell. I just went wild with it, and I had a blast. I loved music since I was very young, but this was my chance to actually play. We never could afford an instrument before that. So I really appreciated it. I spent a chunk of my life playing music. I took music classes, I mean, few and far in between, true. But I studied extensively on my own, and I played my heart out. I don't regret that at all. Then the nurses came in, and they got the painkillers. Shoot me in my arm, I can go to sleep. They wake me up, they run some tests, and they let me go. Turns out I just had kidney stones. Nothing too serious. Though I will say, you know, there have been some doctors who have gone on record to say that the pain you can get from a kidney stone can rival or even be more intense than giving birth. I don't know about all that. I just know I walked out of the hospital with a large bill and no kids. What can I tell you? You know what I do regret? It's giving up on myself. I don't mean there in the hospital bed. I mean years before. I gave up on making music. I didn't have the confidence in myself. I didn't believe in me. I didn't pursue my dreams. I was even working in a studio, and I didn't put myself out there like I should have. I didn't meet the right people or try to. Not hard enough. And when I did, I didn't go out there and challenge myself to get better or do what I have to show how dedicated I am to this. So the music I have, you know, I ended up meeting a woman, and we got married. We started a business. I pursued higher learning. I tried to fit into the corporate world. None of that panned out. Even in the early stages of all that, and in the middle, because that was a good chunk of my life, about 7, 8 years, didn't even touch a keyboard. And I could have tried harder. I was aware the whole time. I didn't have to quit. But I thought I was doing what I was supposed to be doing, so I just stayed the course. Eventually, that course led me back here, though, making music. And I say all that to say this. Johnny Voltaire is going nowhere. He's a culmination of my life work. You know, I don't have a boss to answer to. I don't have anyone I have to turn my music into. I don't feel like I have to kiss up to anyone to try to get any kind of play. The only guy who decides things in the end is me. You can see me on my channel. You see me in all kinds of electronic stores and streaming services. I'm going to go out there and put myself out even more. Not worried about the other stuff. The game is the game. But I felt weird for a long time this year when I'm fully aware of what's going on in my city and people I know and how they're struggling. People are looking for work. The unemployment sites were down. People were standing in line with sick people. It was getting pretty ugly, and we're still not out of it yet. So I felt a little funny saying, hey, could you buy my song when I know what people are going through? And for the moment, I'm straight. I just had to fix a few things, whether it was a living situation, health issues, or personal issues. Now, I don't get too deep in personal issues, but I tell a story every now and then. And the story was, it wasn't the right time until now. If you can't tell, there are winds and changes in the air. It's going to be important for people like me, people who really connect with others through art, to share some messages, share something real. For all you guys who are here and you stayed through, and this is the early days. These are my humble beginnings. I appreciate you very much. Those of you who checked up on me to see how I was doing, appreciate you very much as well. You guys have a special place in my heart. And I got love for all of you. If you follow me on social media, I do come and go a bit. I come back. I've known many people in my life, and unfortunately I've picked up a few bad habits. I have some bad habits. However, I'm not leaving you. Johnny Voltaire is still here, and that's the plan. Now, we're here in the cut, and as I like to say, stay sharp.